Running Sentences presents Tangled in a Criminal World. Part 6. Celebration. Micha finds himself dealing with a little party that the king and queen are throwing, all to celebrate the entrepreneurs from around the kingdom. This story is written and narrated by Michael Honnery. It is a work of fiction, so any names, characters, businesses, events, and situations are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, situations, characters, businesses, events, and/or fictional businesses, characters, events, and so on is purely coincidental. Copyright 2024, Michael Honnery. All rights reserved. A mostly quiet 2 weeks had passed by, with Micha mostly staying away from people. He'd been sent away for the most of the time on little jobs around the area to examine and look at things and learn about the canals in the area. Now that he was back at the castle and had discovered that why the water was the way it was and that the rivers were sometimes dry but went underwater and back up, it was just all great and grand, and none of it really stuck with him. But he was back at the castle, in the grand ballroom, where quite a dance was going on. He had plastered himself against the wall, hoping that no one would ask him to dance, and so far, no luck in spotting Mr. Vance. "It has been a while, Mr. Rexon." Micha turned to face Lord Quad, who stood next to him watching over the events going on. Sir? Nothing to report then, I take it." "I've been busy at the behest of the royals and away from the court." "Whatever for, and why would you do that?" "Well, they're seeking out a person the other day who caused a ruckus and made everyone worry about what was going on in the capital. So they're using me to help them find out things." "Oh, and this isn't an interest to me? I told you I was interested in such things." "I'm sure probably know much of it already, since you seem to know everything and you don't really need me." "Well, it isn't a stretch to say that I stay informed, but that is only true if my informants tell me things, Rexon." "Well, the royals are trying to stay informed about it as well, and what's going on, by putting me here in case Mr. Vance shows up and then they're going to act or something." "Why, though?" A question Vance asked, in which Micha had no right answer, other than to protect the realm, was what Micha could offer, but he figures at the very least Mr. Quad probably already knows that, or has at least figured it out on a base level. "Well, they think he's up to something more, and I'm here to find out if he'll talk to me." "Oh, yes, I suppose that would work. Are you working for the king and queen now?" I don't have much choice, Lord Quad. And aren't we all when they ask us to?" Quad snickers at that. "I'll let you go, then." Before you do, have you seen the man in question?" Micha asked. "No, I have not seen Vance. Keep me informed of anything, though." Once Quad had drifted off, Micha went back to looking around. The party was a lot of noise and dancing that looked nice, but hard to keep up with. So many fancy steps here and there that went round and somehow made sense, but to him it was difficult to keep up with. But he was trying his best, and in all of that he actually managed to spot the one person he was supposed to. "Oh, great, he's actually here, and I hoped he wouldn't show up. What do I do now, though? I can't exactly approach him, so do I wait for him to notice me? Will he remember me? What to do?" The music had come to an end, with the dance now breaking up, although there was probably another one to start shortly. Micha watched carefully from his spot as Vance moved through the crowd and then disappeared from view. The words coming in his mind were not great for the company, so he tried to keep his mouth shut from swearing. "Where did he go? No one seems to be leaving the party, so that is good," he mutters to himself. A quick glance at the doorways in and out of this room, out of this grand ballroom showed that they were still shut, and those doors made an awful amount of noise when they were being opened or closed for the people who were coming in or leaving. So at least he would know if someone was coming or going. Still, what to do? He moved away from the wall, looking for the man who had vanished. "What are you looking for?" The voice was at his side, and it could only come from one man. There was no need to turn and face him, since he was sure who it was. "A person who is causing trouble," Micha responded. "Well, I don't see anyone around here that is doing that. Maybe you should be looking at yourself, if that's what you're looking for." "I could, but I doubt I would find the person who I need right now. Looking at me won't help anything." Micha shot back to those comments. "And who are you after? Who do you need?" Vance asked. "I already said who I need." There was a firm grip that fell on his shoulder, tight but not quite crushing, and following it was a bit of a dull pain from the squeeze. "You need to clarify at once." "Clarify what, Vance? I'm here on the lookout for someone who wants to cause problems. And now that you're here, I think I've actually found someone who's causing problems," Micha said with a smirk. "I would be very careful of who you accuse of such things." "Fine, if you'll excuse me, I'll go accuse someone else then." The grip on his shoulder didn't loosen, nor did it tighten. Perhaps Vance was giving him a chance to explain things. It didn't feel all that likely, and this conversation wasn't going anywhere. "Why would you do that?" Vance demanded from Micha. "Well, my life apparently depends upon finding this person." "Are you working for the government, then?" The question came across so coldly and with such force of accusation that Micha was sure it was meant as a threat. There was no great way to respond to this without potentially causing harm to himself by the man who was threatening him. "If I was, what is it to you? You're a business entrepreneur who has the city begging for more of his ideas, not someone who is concerned with government plans," Micha asked. There was a snort from Vance, and a squeeze on the shoulder. "I'm concerned because what the government chooses to do may affect what business I do, and they hold the power over what I can do." "Oh, well, good for you, but I fail to see your point, since who I work for would not have an impact on your business." Vance jerks Micha to the side and back towards the wall with a heavy pull. Micha doesn't consider himself to be a small person, but this man and the strength he had over him, with one simple grasp, was a lot to deal with. "What is going on, and why are you here?" "Do you want to have a conversation in front of an audience? You rather are a brave man, Lord Vance." "No one here will do anything to me," Vance retorts. Yes, but you will be watched and listened to, and which of your fellow business people will take advantage of that because you did all of this in public?" Micha offered as an explanation. "The only way that might happen is if you're working with the government. So, tell me everything." Micha shrugs and gives him a look. He knew he'd said he didn't want to be alone with this man, and now that he was here, though, it felt like the right thing to do was draw him out, alone, and see where this was all leading. Best to get this done and over with, then escape when the chance arose, if it did, which he slightly doubted it would. "If you're willing to take that chance, well then, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Only one way to find out," Micha said. "You're a rat who has weaseled his way here. I don't know how or why, but I will figure it out. And, Mr. Vance, the fastest way to do that is to ask me questions in private. I might even answer a few of them." He shouldn't be enjoying egging on Vance, but it was pretty easy to do, and, well, a bit fun, since the man who'd been so cool and collected during those explosions now had a very red and angry face. "You think I need you to find out the truth? Why would you even tell me the truth? You'd be surprised by what people can do when they're simply asked. I'm always free and open to talking about things. If the money is right, of course." Micha offers a cheeky grin and then a shrug. Then he manages to pull out of the man's grip so that he could head towards the nearest door. The quiet hallway that Micha steps into left him wondering if he was actually doing the right thing. There was no noise other than his own footsteps, which was a welcome change from all the chatter and noise, those people talking and the music going on and dancing and everything going on in that ballroom. He turned when he heard footsteps following him out to see that Vance had in fact followed. "So, what do you want to know, Lord? What are you doing for the government?" It was a question that cut straight to the point, and one he'd been trying to figure out how to answer without giving anything away. Was there any point in hiding what he was actually doing? Perhaps to stay alive and not piss this man off, and he'd already pissed him off. So, what to do? Was it good to hide, or was it not? "Well, what's your answer, boy?" "I am a young man, thank you. As for what I'm doing, it is merely listening to those who want to talk." "What do you mean?" "Well, everyone in there has some sort of plot that they're going after. I'm here to listen to them at the behest of another one of them," Micha said with a shrug. "So not the government?" "Well, the man I might be working for might be with the government. I've never asked him clearly, and he never has told me clearly what he is or isn't other than a lord of one of the royals." Vance had begun to pace back and forth, looking nervously about. There were a few soldiers guarding the hallway, but none remotely looked towards them. "Why has a bug like you survived all of this? I have people out looking for you just to make sure you didn't do anything, and yet here you are, alive and well, at the one place I might know I can get to you easily enough." Vance snarls, but mostly to himself. "I don't know why I've survived. It's not nice to call me a bug, though, and since I've answered your pressing questions, I think I can return to the party. Good day, sir." He moved to turn and head back, but was instantly cut off by Vance already standing in the way. "I don't care about nice, I care about getting the justice I deserve." Now I think it is my turn to say I don't understand what you're talking about. What justice, and what does it have to do with me?" Micha asks as he now feels like he's on the back foot. "You have been lying to me, and I demand the truth," Vance ordered. "Okay, but how is that seeking justice? That's just seeking answers." "Answers are justice." The growl from Vance seemed to emanate all around Micha, who was trying to back up a little bit, but he wasn't really moving much. I see. Well, I've been honest with you. I really have been, and you don't want to accept that as the case. There's nothing I can do if you won't accept my words. My apologies, but it is what it is, and I need to go back to the party." "What do you know about me?" The threatening undertone and stepping to make sure he stayed in Micha's path were annoying. There was little he could say at the moment that would stop this lord from doing whatever he wanted. "Other than what I saw?" "Yes, of course," Vance replied to Micha's question. "Well, nothing, Mr. Vance. I know nothing about you aside from that you do business in the city with strange individuals and you had a business on the docks. And now that is a problem, because you do know too much about me." How in the world did he know too much? It didn't make any sense to him, other than maybe this man had lost his mind. That would make things simpler for him, though. Probably also more complicated, and there was probably no escape from him. I disagree, sir. I know nothing at all that can harm you other than some people said some things to you, none of which can probably harm you in the courts, so... Micha tried to offer as an explanation. You think I'm willing to risk what I've got? Then what do you want? I can't give you anything other than my word, and I don't know anything, and, we're going around in circles. You're coming with me, Vance said, finally having had enough of this. Vance's hand snaked out and grabbed a hold of Micha, who had just stepped back and away from the man, but it still tried to grab him. Why? Micha asked. So I can see if you're telling the truth. Why else would I need you? Well, to torture me because you're afraid that I know something even though I know nothing and, we're just going around and round again. Vance shrugs and reaches out again, this time managing to grab a hold of Micha. Let them come and see what they can make of your remains. If I have to torture you, I will do it when they find your remains. An anger flared in Micha, a fiery pit of something that felt like it started in his stomach but quickly rose all the way through him. It didn't feel like he was about to throw up, but there was this burning sensation that he couldn't quite control with the way his anger was gnawing at him. I've told you all that I know. Torturing me will not get you any more information, and it might even get you fake information. Micha growls. Perhaps, perhaps not, but it will also rid me of a loose end who claims to know me and knows a little about me. So, you're coming. I never claimed to know you, Micha said, his frustration rising and rising. Minor words in a greater world where few people will bother to listen to them. I own you. Why would anyone listen to me in the first place? No one is going to care about what I have to say. A chance I cannot take since you're not trustworthy and you're in a royal court, where, reportedly, you have the ear of the king and queen. Vance snaps back. The energy within Micha that had felt like it was building sat there. It was right there, but something felt like it was being blocked and kept it in check from boiling over. It was distracting him from what was going on, and the fact that Vance was now dragging him by his collar down the hallway. Stop! Micha tries to wrench free from the grip of Vance as he says this. Not for anything. We're leaving. He was pulled to the stables where all the horses and carriages were stored for the evening. Vance's own carriage was hardly being pulled out by its servants after he appeared before them and ordered it to be drawn out. If you want me dead, then you do it already. I'm not an idiot, whatever you may think of me. Killing you here and now would only make me suspicious in the eyes of the royals and the court. Are you saying making me vanish won't be suspicious? If you're being truthful and aren't working for them, then why would they notice? That was far too true for Micha's liking, so he shut up to think for a moment. Vance's carriage was now clattering out of the stables and approaching them. He had to come up with something to say, otherwise... I believe they're keeping track of all the people that were in attendance, Micha tried to explain. Yes, maybe they were. Why were you in attendance, though? It was a party for entrepreneurs, not fools. At the request of the people who want me to listen to all that is wrong with the people at the ball? Get into the carriage and stop making up lies. You're see-throughable at this point, Vance ordered. It is not a lie. Then you're not believable, which isn't surprising. That unfortunately reflects poorly on me and my minions hiring you in the first place. I should have seen it. Vance's hand would roughly push Micha to the doorway of the carriage, a grim set expression on the man's face, saying, Don't speak any further. The carriage was a comfortable place to sit, and had plenty of room for both of them. Micha would find himself sitting across from the man as the vehicle rattled to life and began heading out. At no point, though, did Micha feel like he could try something or anything against this man who now had a frozen grin on his face. The interior of this carriage was cut off from the world, providing no great look to the outside via windows or even the door itself. The whole thing was solid wood all around them, which Micha studied intently to see if there was anything he could do. Unfortunately, it did not appear to be the case. "What is so amusing that you are grinning at me?" Micha finally asked. "You are. A bug that has managed to survive and now has secrets, though you're trying to hold on to dear life with them, even though it might cost you your life. What a fool." "Are you saying I have a chance to stay alive?" "A small one, yes. Mr. Rexon is the name you gave the royals, though you are known as Micha." "I don't believe you mean that I have a small chance." Yes, you're right. I probably don't mean it unless you spit up something interesting. You aren't the type to do that or say anything believable in the first place, so it's an even smaller chance than small. This would be going much better if you trusted that I was telling you what I know. You're more intent on believing yourself rather than listening to me. This won't work if you keep doing that. You're not going to get what you want. But I can't trust you, and I won't. Shut up until we get to our location, as I have no need for you to endlessly repeat what you've already said. It took quite a while for them to get where they were going. Round and round they went, and with everything closed off in this carriage, it was hard to tell where exactly they were going, or even what was going on. Eventually, the carriage did rattle to a stop, and the door out was knocked on and then opened. "You first, boy." "To my death I go?" "No, not quite yet." Out he stepped to see that they were surrounded by a lot of trees and appeared to be outside the city. The cold night was not welcoming, as he moved to the side to get out of the way of Vance while trying to keep looking around. In the not far off distance he could actually see the looming walls, of which he guessed were the city limits of Usk. "What happens to me now, then, since it's not quite my death time?" "We're visiting a friend of mine who can draw out answers from you." "It would be much simpler if you and I could just talk to one another, trading information. I mean, I'm more than willing to talk. You just have to be willing to listen and give me something back." "You don't make that likely. You aren't trustworthy." Micha shook his head and pointed out towards the nearby stables they were at. There was nothing else around here aside from that. "Is your friend in there, then? Let's get this over with." Micha found himself asking. "Probably. They may not have shown up yet, since they like to move around. Staying in the same spot for them never appealed to them. They liked movement." "What kind of things do you actually want from me?" Vance shot Micha a look, trying to question what he was trying to achieve with these questions. "Why would I tell you that? It would be a waste to bring my friend out here if I asked you. Plus, you can prepare lies in return and ahead of time, and it just would be terrible." "Your friend can't see through my lies? What good are they if they can't do that?" Vance was growling at him and pushed him towards the stables that were well hidden in the woods. If there wasn't a few people holding torches around there, it would be even harder to spot the nicely sized building. The smell of horse dung and straw hung in the air as they came in. Micha tried to look about the low-lit space to avoid stepping in anything, but a swish on his boot told him it was already too late for him. He found himself pushed forward by Vance, who was right behind him. "Come on, I need my answers already." Micha resisted the urge to point out that he could have listened to him and this would be mostly over already. Where is your person then? She's not here yet from the looks of things, and from what her guards say. That was an interesting point, Micha thought. It was a woman, and so far all his interactions with women lately had been going rather poorly. This was not something he wanted to deal with at the moment, since, well, he wasn't sure that they would deal with him well. Great, what are we going to do while we wait then? Sit around and play games? Micha asked. Don't be a fool. I wouldn't play a game with you if my life depended upon it. For a second, Micha tried to figure out how that was supposed to work and then gave up. Why would he not play a game if his life depended upon it? And with a person, and, well, it was just whatever. I'm not surprised you wouldn't go out of your way to help another person or bother to be with another person that could help them. I have plenty of people who need my help, and I help them. You are nothing but a figure in my way. In your way? Of what? I don't know anything, so how can I be in your way? Micha protested. Rabble from the streets, you won't understand. Obviously, otherwise you would be gloating and have already told me. Micha was rolling his eyes at Vance and just enjoying the moment of trying to antagonize Lord Vance. The doors to the stable creaked open, drawing their attention towards it. In the low light, a figure appeared, hobbling its way into the area that divided the stalls and horses apart. A long draped cloth covered that figure from head to toe, making it hard to see who it was. Well, this is a sight to see. You can see, my lady? Vance asked worriedly. The shuffled steps carried the figure towards them with rather rapid speed. Even though they were still in the middle-ish area of the stables, she was still on them in just a mere moment. Don't judge me for what you assume you see. It does not bode well for you, Vance. My apologies, then. I only wish to hurry things along. Always in a hurry. The cloak covering her turned towards Micha, who wanted to take a few steps back and away, but there was nowhere really to go that would stop her from following him. Hi. You're at least polite, this old lady said. Yeah, listen, if you could tell this guy that I've already been telling him the truth, it would be amazing. But just as eager as Vance, I see. Micha frowns at her. Well, my life is on the line, so maybe I can get away with being a little bit eager? No, you cannot. There is no rushing this. It takes time, and you must sit down. In this muck? Vance pushes hard down on Micha's shoulder, sending him towards the ground with his knees buckling from the force. The hand on this lady had shot out from under the cloak, grabbing his hand as he went. Her grip was tight and bony. He felt like neither would let go of him, even if they were to suddenly croak and die. I need to read your fate and your life. Through my hands that you're grabbing? Micha questioned. Through your touch. Now, shut up and let me do my work. Her hands were ice cold. That was fading rather quickly. A warmth that was rather familiar and reminded him of that little cottage and the potion that the witch had given him came bubbling back up. It started softly and quietly, and then began building to almost a flame-like quality. Ow! Let me go! Micha complained. She can't, and won't until her job is done. It's best to get used to the pain, boy. Vance answered for her. Easy for you to say that. This isn't your problem. Vance squints over at Micha as he makes a bunch of faces and can't help but shake his head from side to side now. I had to deal with something similar to get her to work with me. Don't complain too much. It makes you sound weak. Well, I am weak. Calm yourself. You have a line of magic through you. If you don't keep your head, it will hurt yourself. Just don't burn up on me. What? Explain how one burns up because of magic. You really don't know much of anything, do you? I can see and feel that in you. This will be a simple session, but you need to control what you have inside of you. I can't, lady. I don't know anything. The old woman sighs, and a shock of energy from her hands went straight into his, numbing them. No, you need to answer my questions. Don't think about what's happening to you. Concentrate on the questions. The coldness was now creeping up his arm. It was hard to concentrate on anything other than that. He tried to keep things simple and not think about the coldness that now seeped all over his body. So cold, Micha bitterly complained. Yes, your fire can be tamed by my cold. Now listen to me. Name your name. I've always gone by Micha, nothing more or less, though I've been assigned a new name by a Lord Quad. Rexon was that name. The answer came automatically out of Micha's mouth. He thought them, and then they were out, being spoken even though he hadn't want to. Good! Why did you get that name? The Lord had wished me to find out what was going on in the kingdom. He's already told me much of this. Go deeper already, witch. Lord Vance, do not interrupt my work. I do not appreciate it when you know this takes time. We may not have time. Then why did you ask for me? My choices were limited, witch. Micha was busy trying to keep up with this conversation, even in his wiped-out state. Things felt present but distant, with the coldness gripping at every part of his body. There was nothing he could do or say at the moment. Never tell a lady that she is a second or third choice for something. We don't take it well. Noted if I ever need you again, Miss Wren. This lady gave Vance one last hard look, then turned her attention back to Micha. Things weren't as bad as they were a moment ago, with feelings coming back to parts of him, though other bits of him still felt rather lost. Are you working for someone else, then? There was a clatter of noise from outside, and both hands withdrew from Micha. The entire group of people, guards, Witch, and Vance, all turned to look towards that exterior noise and towards the road. Finish the job, Witch, and then come see me outside, while I make sure that everything is okay out there. I can already feel it is not safe. All the more reason to make sure that this gets done before anyone else gets hurt. Vance, along with a few guards, charge off towards the door. There were a couple of them left in the stables with them, not that Micha felt like he could try or do anything. The cold grasp from the hand had returned to his, as a breeze blew through the space, and then this witch's hand and the coldness pulled away again. A witch pulling off tricks for money. How far you have fallen, dear Wren? Wren then turns to face the person speaking to her at her side. If it isn't the king's witch. Yes, to both, I suppose, but I have a vested interest in the one you're trying to drag information from, nothing to do with the king. I'm not a thing to be fought over. Micha tried to interrupt the conversation, shivering a little bit, and doing not a great job of fighting it off. You're right on that front. No one is fighting over you. Wren snapped, as the king's witch reappeared in front of the shadows of the stall. The air cracked with electricity as the two ladies glared at one another, though under the cloak of Wren, it was hard to tell if that was really a glare, but Micha was assuming things. "Can we come to an understanding then, Miss Wren?" "Not on your life, Bree." "You're prepared to die, then?" The heavy cloak had slid off of this old lady, revealing the gangly figure under it. Her arms shot out with her fingers interlaced, cracking when they reached the end of her grasp. "We will soon be joined by the man who hired me. His goons will make short work of you and your not-so-great threats." "Like the ones over there, you mean?" The witch, Bree, pointed off to the side where an unconscious man had slumped over. His sword was half out of his scabbard, his grip falling away from the handle. There were a few others in a similar state, not too far away. Something at the back of his mind was telling Micha to get to his feet and run. His feet were moving, but not as fast as he would like them, and the mud and the slop that made up the ground of this barn was making things difficult. "Oh, you dealt with the ones that can deal with magic. It is no big deal. You will regret interfering," Wren crowed. "Stop talking." Wren opens her mouth to complain about Bree's comment, but no words come out. Wren moves her mouth some more, but despite her best efforts, there is still nothing coming. Bree turned to Micha. "Care to tell me what is going on here?" "King's order to find out what's going on." "That doesn't explain anything, Mr. Rexon. Why does he want to know?" "I think to protect things the way they are. I'm not entirely sure. But this was an operation to find out more about Mr. Vance and his business and what he's doing." The words were spilling out of his mouth without thinking about them, and Micha frowned, worrying that whatever this Wren had done was still affecting him. The king's witch stepped over to him and gently touched him on the arm, the remaining coldness now completely fading away. "I guess I could leave you here for now to see where this goes, but she cannot." "Ow!" A throbbing pain had overtaken Micha as he tried to stand and nearly crumpled over, his muscles and memory exploding as they tried to operate all at once. "Yes, the spell she cast over you does take its toll on your body. You'll be through it shortly." "It certainly doesn't feel like it." Micha grunts these words out as he tries to concentrate and looks over towards Bree, who is now standing in front of Wren. The two were facing off against one another in a staring contest. "Are you ready to vanish, old witch?" "You stopped her from talking, didn't you?" Micha asked, confused. "Yes, I did, but I like being melodramatic from time to time when you can hold it over someone who is being idiotic." Bree then raised her hand, and in a flash of a second, the two had vanished. The horrid pain would eventually begin subsiding, leaving him leaning over himself, trying to recover. A second later, the door was thrown open, and charging in was Vance, looking wildly about. End of Part 6 of Tangled in a Criminal World. Thank you for listening.